Hello, you're watching Business Live. Our top story, all eyes on Europe's central bank as speculation mounts that it could be poised to inject more cash into the economy to defend itself from global market turmoil. We'll get an update from the ECB President Mario Draghi later today.
Yeah, one to watch very closely. Full details across the BBC. But now, graphene has been hailed as the wonder substance that could change the world as we know it, revolutionising everything from the production of aircraft to, well, replacement body parts. Techno companies around the globe are rushing to register patents for potential products based on the material. And once it all gets a little bit techie, the list of things that you could potentially do with this stuff is, well, astonishing.
Yeah, it's more than 200 times stronger than steel, and yet it's renowned for being super thin and flexible. And to that, add to that a tremendous ability to conduct heat and electricity. And it really does begin to sound like a wonder substance.
Yeah, but it is very expensive and often difficult to produce. In fact, mass production has proved to be extremely elusive. Well, Katharina is with us. She's the chief scientist and the boss of the company at Cambridge Nanotech. Really nice to see you. Welcome. Let's just start, first of all, with why it is so difficult to produce mass quantities, because it sounds like an amazing thing, yet it's very difficult to produce. How are you changing that?
To understand what graphene is, it is always good to start with a pencil, just like you have it over there, because pencils
I've got one here.
are made of graphite. Graphite is stacks of graphene. And the reason why people always perceived it as very difficult to produce graphene is because they started with graphite and took levels off. So as you can imagine, this is a very long and exhausting process that is also not especially cost effective. And this is where our process has revolutionized the market and has made it possible to create this material in very large quantities and at very high quality.
And you really are talking about a very big difference in terms of the amount that you can produce every year.
Yes, so if you were to think of maybe when graphene was first isolated, you could maybe produce a spoonful of graphene every year. If you now think in the quantities that we make, which is a capacity of about 5 tons per year at the moment, this would fill more than the whole BBC broadcasting house. So the changes in this short amount of time, the material has been around for 10 years, and this is since its first discovery. It's been tremendous in terms of material development.
Just talk us through some of the applications of it. We touched on some of them there, and they seem very diverse, you know, whether we're talking about replacement body parts or things for aircraft or mobile phone. It sounds like it has hundreds of thousands of uses, but yes, it's about, once you manufacture it, then working out what you can do with it.
Yes, graphene combines so many outstanding properties, and in that it is unique. There are a lot of things that are strong or light or flexible, but graphene has it all. And this is where it is interesting for the market, where it is worth to invest in all these amazing developments that are happening in the UK and worldwide on applying graphene in products. Because you have something that is stronger than anything else that's on the market, yet very lightweight, yet flexible, and conducts electricity as well as heat better than anything else. So the moment you have material available, it's easily applicable wherever it goes.
People will want to buy it, basically. Well, just on a personal note, tell me a bit about your journey, because you know, you're a leading woman in science. You've got this amazing product on your hands. How did you get to this holy grail, really, for scientists of discovering something, you know, so new, or at least a new way of creating it, you believe?
Well, I was very fortunate. I'm not alone. Obviously, I have a great team of people supporting me in the lab and in our company. We've co-founded this company with 4 at the beginning, and we are a team that comes from Cambridge University, which is a long-standing tradition of carbon research in this group. So the development of this way of making graphene on this very large scale was a sort of a team effort. And the way we make graphene is actually very simple, because we start with the raw material. It's an all-carbon material, so we will start with a carbon precursor, like with the starting material that is the same gas that you would use to heat up the water in your house. natural gas. And then we use quite a simple process now that we have discovered it. We apply a microwave, as you would have in the kitchen, very similar again, that cracks the gas and separates the carbon in this methane and the hydrogen.
Briefly for us, we've talked about the practical uses. How do you make money from this? And I suppose there's a lot of investment from your part up front before you can make any money back from this. So clearly it's a long-term investment, but how and when do you expect to start making money?
So we have already not just developed this process of making large quantities of graphene, but also applications that are right now being used by our industrial partners. For example, what we have developed is sprayable heaters that is very similar to paint. When you spray your house, you can just coat any surface, you connect a low voltage power supply and it heats up. It's very instant, fast, very efficient heating of surfaces that are not easily heatable with other materials. Then graphene is also chemically very inert. So this means coatings of graphene will enable to use rather cheap materials, coat them and then use them in harsh environments. For example, in acidic environments, maybe where landfill is stored, or in desalination systems where you otherwise would need very, very expensive materials that can withstand this system. You can just use something that is readily available, coat it, post-process it, and it is a great thing for a huge market.
Yeah, really interesting science. Katharina Paugler.
We have really interesting stuff. Actually, it'd be great to speak to you again. Actually, and find out how this goes on and it's developed. But Katharina from Cambridge Nanosystems, let me get the name right. Really good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.